This week on Houston Life, we have been exploring the ups and downs of relationships. We've covered everything from husbands and wives to parenting. Now it's time to talk siblings. Are you impressed I got my hair back in place?
It's good. It looks good. We're here to tell us about this often complicated, maybe even competitive, yet loving dynamics between siblings. We have Dr. Viviana Coles back and Emily De Ayala. Hey, ladies.
Hello.
That was so cute. I love it.
I'm just impressed how quickly his hair goes back where it's meant to be.
Because I stick it on. It's a wig. Okay, so there are a lot of things that can affect sibling dynamics, like age, birth order, gaps between when you were born. Where do we even begin with this conversation?
Maybe birth order.
I think birth order is a big one.
It's a good one because there's a lot of research out there, and I think what I found is that whether you're an actual middle child, a baby, or if you're the eldest, it's mainly about how you perceive yourself within the family. So I'm the baby. I don't feel like the baby, and I don't think that I was ever really treated like the baby. So my personality traits are that more of like the eldest, more of the leader. But I do find a lot of people who are middle children who really struggle to get out of that middle child syndrome.
It's true. The middle child syndrome is a real thing because a lot of times they're constantly in the shadow of their older sibling who's constantly, doing something new, and they get their training wheels off the bike first, and they're, going into middle school first, and then they've got the younger sibling who still needs a little more attention. So I think it can be really helpful for parents of, who have three to give that middle child a little bit of extra attention and acknowledge their feelings.
It's interesting that some of these stereotypes do ring true. By the way, that photo that we put up, Dr. Viviana, was that actually you? That's you and your brother?
Older brother Julian, and secretly he's pinching me underneath. No, he's so sweet.
I love it.
Really sweet.
Very cute. And Emily, I think we also have a photo of you. Oh, so this is your sister.
It's my sister.
Are you two twins?
No, right?
We are really, really close, and a lot of times people, I don't know if we get twins a lot, but it's like instant that people can tell we're sisters.
I think you look almost identical.
Well, you and I are both the youngest out of three, right?
Yeah, you have two older brothers.
And you have two older sisters.
Yeah, exactly. I think we have some embarrassing old photos of us as well.
There's
we should
a couple
share.
in there.
Oh, dear.
Nice.
Remember the matching pajamas we were talking about? Look, my sisters, they all match. Homemade. And Courtney, we've got to have something of you, right?
I think so. No,
more
not
of me.
Oh, more of you. I
It's
see how this
interesting.
works.
My sister, the middle one, Elizabeth. Oh, there's Courtney.
Yes.
Oh.
So what's interesting is my brothers, that really signifies this relationship, really. I mean, so my brothers are like 14 months apart, and then I came 7 years later.
So when
You're their
there is,
I know.
Yeah. So when there's at least a 6-year difference between siblings, it's almost like they're each only children
Totally.
in the family system.
And I was the only girl, so I mean, like, I was
That's
certainly the
also
baby.
different.
No one
Gender
wanted to date me.
differences.
Like, it was a whole different. I had two more dads.
Right. And I think you were talking about your brother. However, you feel like the oldest, and I wonder if that has to do a little bit with the fact that it's a brother sister.
Right. The gender
as
difference
opposed
does
to
make a difference.
being like me, I'm in a family where we're both girls, and I'm like the stereotypical older child, and she's probably a little more relaxed in some ways. I think older children tend to try to be very successful.
Forge ahead.
Exactly.
For sure.
But there are more CEOs and presidents who are older children. So
Really?
actually,
There's a lot to be said about only children. Only children get a lot more resources.
Yep.
A lot more
and they
attention.
are very successful as well. They don't get the same playing experiences as growing up, but it's definitely worthwhile.
Are they a little more selfish though? Because it seems like if you're not navigating, things like sharing or, competing
You're
for
not
time
as
with parents,
practiced
do you become a
learning how
more
to do
selfish
that.
adult?
I think of the people I know as adults who grew up as only children, what I sense from them the most is that they always kind of miss having a sibling. I think if anything, they're more likely to foster friendships and have almost like sister-brother type relationships with very close friends. But I think there's a lot of times a sense that they kind of missed out.
Right. Well, how do we, as we move through life, how do we keep that bond strong? I think children tend to be closer when they're younger, right? Or siblings tend to be closer. My brothers and I are very close. I think you're very close with your sisters. But like, if there's marriage, if there's divorce, if those other kind of life changes, how do you increase that bond?
I think that a lot of times making sure that you realize that there is an obligation with family. And you have to put in that effort, not just for yourselves, but also for the people around you, especially if you have your parents living. You want to kind of honor that, but making sure that you are doing those traditions, keeping up with seeing each other on a regular basis, even though at times you maybe wouldn't choose them to hang out with as your friends, that's the way that I find most of the people around me stay close to their siblings.
And I think really it falls on the parents to encourage that from a very early age. I mean, I have lots of memories of both of my parents really encouraging closeness and support between my sister and I. Parents sometimes don't do as good of a job of avoiding favoritism, and I think that is when a lot of that competitiveness can come about. And so I really think it starts early, and it's the parents' job to foster that.
We got a lot more to talk about. What were you going to say?
That's okay. No, we'll talk. We'll bring it up later.
Well, because I think I'm the favorite now. No, but it's interesting how things shift when you grow. Because my middle sister Elizabeth, like Heather and I would always be like, oh well, Liz is the favorite. But it's just interesting that everything we're discussing has a life of its own. You know, relationships evolve and change, and we're going to get to a lot more of this, right?
Yeah, we are. You're going to stay with us.
Okay, perfect. So don't go anywhere. Dr. Viviana and Emily are staying with us after the break. We will continue this conversation. Don't go away.